The warning. The Galactic Concordat had long considered Earth a tragic footnote in the annals of cosmic history, an unruly primitive species that had shown promise before destroying itself in what the archives called the Great Silence. For 3 centuries, the planet once called Earth had remained a quarantine zone, its orbit marked with warning beacons declaring it a memorial world. Grand Admiral Xerxes of the Concordat's exploratory fleet stood on the bridge of the infinite horizon, his translucent appendages rippling with anticipation as they approached the edge of the Sol system. His exoskeleton clicked softly as he addressed his crew. "The quarantine period has officially ended," he announced, his voice modulator translating his thoughts into the standard galactic tongue. "The Concordat Science Directorate has authorized our expedition to catalog what remains of human civilization. Remember, we are observers, not conquerors." First Officer Nilara, a tall Vesperian with eyes that reflected starlight, stepped forward. "Admiral, preliminary scans show unusual energy signatures from the third planet." Her compound eyes narrowed. "They don't match any known natural phenomena." "Impossible," the Admiral replied. "Our records indicate the humans destroyed their biosphere in a nuclear exchange. Nothing could have survived, let alone maintained operational technology." Yet the readings persisted. As the infinite horizon breached the Kuiper Belt, long-range scanners detected a network of satellites, dormant but intact, encircling Earth like a cobweb of ancient technology. "Fascinating," whispered Chief Scientist Call, his 4 arms working frantically across holographic displays. "These constructs appear to be defensive in nature, but they're unlike any human weapon systems in our archives." The Admiral's curiosity outweighed his caution. "Bring us closer. I want detailed scans of those satellites." The moment the infinite horizon crossed the orbit of Mars, something changed. The previously dormant satellites began to pulse with energy. Before any alarms could sound, the nearest satellite rotated slowly, revealing a dark aperture that began to glow with building energy. "Evasive maneuvers," shouted the Admiral, but it was too late. The satellite didn't fire. Instead, it emitted a pulse of energy that washed over the ship like a wave, penetrating their shields as if they didn't exist. Every system on the infinite horizon momentarily flickered, then returned to normal. "Damage report," demanded the Admiral. "No damage, sir," replied the tactical officer, confusion evident in her voice. "But something accessed our database. It was searching for something." Before the implications could be processed, every communication channel on the ship simultaneously activated. A message in perfect Concordat standard began to play. "Attention, unidentified vessel. You have entered restricted space. Earth Defense Network has been activated after 300 years of dormancy. Your ship has been scanned and identified as non-human. Your language and communication protocols have been analyzed and integrated. This automated message serves as your only warning. Turn back, or don't return." Silence fell across the bridge. The Admiral's appendages stilled. "Is that all?" he finally asked. As if in response, the message continued. "The extinction of humanity has been greatly exaggerated. Earth stands ready. Approach and be erased." Thousands of kilometers away, deep beneath the surface of what was once called the Pacific Ocean, something ancient stirred. In a control room sealed against time itself, emergency lights flickered on for the first time in centuries. Cryogenic pods began their warming cycles as medical systems prepared to revive their occupants. Commander Elara Chen opened her eyes, the frost of suspended animation still clinging to her lashes. Her throat was raw, her muscles atrophied, but her mind was instantly alert as the neural stimulants coursed through her system. "Status report," she croaked, her voice barely audible. The facility's AI responded immediately. "Perimeter breach detected. First contact protocols initiated. Defense grid online. All systems operational, Commander." Elara struggled to sit up, her body remembering its purpose before her mind fully comprehended the situation. "How long?" she asked. 312 years, 7 months, 14 days since Operation Shadowfall commenced. The memories crashed back like a tidal wave. The alliance of alien civilizations, their ultimatum that Earth submit to sterilization after humanity refused to abandon its military research. The desperate plan to make the galaxy believe they had destroyed themselves rather than surrender. "And they're back," Ilara whispered. "Affirmative. One vessel, approaching from the outer system. Classification unknown. Preliminary scan suggests exploratory rather than military configuration." Ilara's lips curved into a humorless smile. "Wake the others. It's time to remind the galaxy why they should have made sure we were really dead." Across Earth, similar facilities activated. From the depths of the Mariana Trench to bunkers beneath the Antarctic ice, from hollowed-out mountains to orbital platforms disguised as debris, humanity's last defense force began to awaken. On the bridge of the infinite horizon, chaos had erupted. The defense satellites had moved to surround the ship, not firing but clearly positioned to do so if necessary. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission," announced the communications officer. It's coming from Earth." The main view screen flickered, and a human face appeared. Female, with features that spoke of East Asian ancestry, dark hair pulled back from a face, lined with determination rather than age. "This is Commander Ilara Chen of Earth Defense Command. You are trespassing in sovereign human space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose or be destroyed." Admiral Xeris stepped forward, his diplomatic training overriding his shock. "I am Grand Admiral Xeris of the Galactic Concordat Exploratory Fleet. We come in peace with scientific purpose. Our records indicated that human civilization had ended." The human's expression didn't change. "A strategic deception. When faced with extinction by your Concordat 3 centuries ago, we chose to disappear rather than be conquered. We made you believe we had destroyed ourselves in a final war." "The Concordat has no record of any conflict with Earth," Xeris replied, genuinely confused. "We only discovered your world after your apparent self-destruction." Commander Chen's laugh was cold. "Of course. How convenient that your Concordat has no memory of the ultimatum delivered by the Arisian Empire, the Procyon Collective, and the Vega Dominion, the founding members of your precious alliance." Before Xeris could respond, alarms blared across his ship. "Admiral," called the tactical officer, "we're detecting energy signatures throughout the system. Hundreds, thousands of them. They were hidden, disguised as debris or natural formations." On screen, Commander Chen's expression shifted to one of grim satisfaction. "While you believed us gone, we prepared. We built. We waited. And now, you've awakened us." The view screen split to show multiple angles of the Earth system. What had appeared to be asteroid fields were now revealing themselves as camouflaged defense platforms. Moons thought to be natural were opening to reveal hangar bays, and from the dark side of Earth's moon, a massive structure was emerging, a battle station dwarfing anything in the Concordat's arsenal. "This message is being broadcast across all known frequencies to every corner of your Concordat," Chen continued. "Let it be known that Earth is not dead. Humanity is not extinct. We merely stepped into the shadows to prepare for this day." Her voice hardened. "You have 2 standard cycles to remove all Concordat presence from the Sol system. After that, any non-human vessel found within our borders will be considered hostile and destroyed without warning. Additionally, we demand representatives of the original Arisian, Procyon, and Vegan governments present themselves at the edge of the system for discussions regarding their past actions." "And if the Concordat refuses these terms?" Xeris asked, already knowing the answer. Commander Chen's smile was predatory. "Then we'll remind you why your ancestors thought it necessary to exterminate us in the first place. We've had 3 centuries to advance our technology, Admiral. 3 centuries of uninterrupted development, focused on one purpose, ensuring that if we ever faced extinction again, we wouldn't face it alone." As if to emphasize her point, a small energy pulse emanated from the nearest satellite. Within seconds, every system on the infinite horizon shut down except life support and communications. "Consider this demonstration a courtesy," Chen said. "Your ship will regain functionality once you've cleared the Kuiper Belt. Enough power for you to limp home and deliver our message." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the bridge in semi-darkness as emergency lighting cast eerie shadows across alien faces frozen in disbelief. In the silence, First Officer Nilara whispered what everyone was thinking. "What have we awakened?" Miles beneath Earth's surface, Commander Chen turned from the communications array to face the gradually assembling command staff of Earth Defense. Men and women from every former nation, awakening from centuries of cryosleep, their bodies weak, but their eyes burning with the same determination that had driven them to sacrifice 300 years of their lives. "Is it wise to reveal ourselves so completely?" asked Admiral Takahashi, his voice still rough from hibernation. "We've lost the element of surprise." "Not entirely," Chen replied, gesturing to a holographic display of the Sol system. "They've seen what we wanted them to see. The orbital defenses, the moon base, the automated fleet. They haven't seen our colonies on Mars and Europa. They haven't seen the jump gates we've constructed at the system's edge. And most importantly," she tapped a command, and the hologram expanded to show hundreds of small, stealth vessels positioned throughout the nearby star systems. "They haven't seen our infiltrators, embedded throughout Concordat space for the past century, gathering intelligence and waiting for this moment." General Rodriguez, head of Special Operations, stepped forward. "The advanced teams are in position. As soon as the Concordat ship reports back, we'll have agents tracking the response in real time." Chen nodded. "And Project Phoenix?" A scientist in the back of the room stood. "The dimensional phasing technology is ready, Commander. If they attack in force, we can shift Earth and our primary installations into the shadow dimension for up to 72 hours, more than enough time for our counterstrike to deploy." Commander Chen looked around the room at the last defenders of humanity awakening to a universe that had forgotten them. 300 years ago, they gave us a choice: surrender or die. We chose neither. We chose to disappear, to plan, to wait for the perfect moment. Her eyes gleamed with cold determination. That moment has arrived. The Concordat will either acknowledge our right to exist, or they will learn why their ancestors feared us enough to try to wipe us out in the first place. As the infinite horizon limped away from Earth, its systems slowly recovering from the electromagnetic pulse, Admiral Xeris stood alone in his quarters, staring at the blue-green planet receding behind them. A world thought dead, now revealed as a sleeping predator. The humans had sent one message across the stars: turn back, or don't return. The galaxy was about to discover whether it had been wise to forget the species that had once been dismissed as primitive, violent, and extinct. The storm was coming, and humanity was bringing the thunder. The reckoning. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Concordat had never been so silent. Representatives of 17 advanced civilizations sat in stunned disbelief as Admiral Xeris' report concluded. The holographic display at the center of the chamber showed the final image captured by the infinite horizon. Earth's defense grid activating, a planet once thought dead now bristling with technology that shouldn't exist. Supreme Counselor Vexon of the Arisian Empire was the first to speak, his normally imperious voice trembling slightly. "This is impossible. The humans were primitive, barely capable of reaching their own moon when they were last observed." "When you ordered their extinction, you mean," corrected Admiral Xeris. "According to Commander Chen, the Arisians led the coalition that threatened humanity 3 centuries ago." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Most of the representatives were too young to remember Earth's apparent self-destruction, let alone any preceding ultimatum. Counselor Jen of the Protean Collective rose, her luminescent skin pulsing with agitation. "These are baseless accusations. Our historical records show no such conflict." "Perhaps your records were altered," came a new voice from the chamber entrance. All eyes turned to see a human male standing in the doorway. Tall, dark-skinned, wearing a uniform no one recognized, with insignia that marked him as high-ranking military. Supreme Counselor Vexon stood abruptly. "How did you get in here?" "This chamber is sealed during emergency sessions." The human smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I've been here all along, Counselor. For the past 70 years, to be precise." He stepped forward, and the guards who moved to intercept him suddenly froze in place, their weapons deactivating in their hands. "Allow me to introduce myself. General Marcus Washington, Earth Special Intelligence Division. I've been serving as Undersecretary Calvor of the Diplomatic Court." He nodded toward a stunned Procyon who had just realized his aide of 7 decades was not who he appeared to be. "Impossible," whispered Vexon. "Our bioscanners were designed to detect known species," Washington finished for him. "And as far as your databases were concerned, humans were extinct. A small genetic modification to mask our DNA signature did the rest." He reached the center of the chamber and activated his own holographic display. "We've had infiltrators throughout Concordat space for over a century. We know exactly which civilizations were responsible for the extinction order against Earth. We have copies of the records you thought were erased." The hologram showed documents, recordings, military orders, all bearing the seals of the Arisian Empire, the Procyon Collective, and the Vega Dominion. 300 years ago, your ancestors discovered something about humans that terrify them," Washington continued. "Our adaptability, our aggression when threatened, our potential. Your scientific models predicted that, left unchecked, humanity would surpass your civilizations within a millennium. So you chose to eliminate the threat before it materialized." Counselor Jen's luminescence had dimmed to a dull glow. "If what you say is true, why reveal yourselves now? Why not strike from the shadows?" Washington's expression remained neutral. "Because despite what you may believe, we don't want war. We want recognition, respect, and guarantees that no extinction order will ever again be issued against our species." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. The central display switched to an external view of space around the Concordat's headquarters. What had appeared to be empty void was now revealing itself as hundreds of stealth vessels, their cloaking technology deactivating in perfect synchronization. "A precaution," Washington explained calmly, "in case this discussion didn't proceed productively." On Earth, Commander Ilara Chen stood in the newly reactivated Strategic Command Center, watching as reports flooded in from human agents embedded throughout Concordat space. The plan was proceeding exactly as they had prepared for generations. "Status of the Phoenix platform?" she asked. "Fully operational, Commander," replied the chief engineer. "Dimensional shift generators are standing by. If the Concordat launches an attack against Earth, we can phase the entire planet into the shadow dimension within minutes." Chen nodded, her eyes on the tactical display showing human forces positioned throughout the sector. Some visible, some still hidden, all ready for any eventuality. Admiral Takahashi approached, his tablet displaying incoming communications. "General Washington has made contact with the Concordat Council. The Arisians are denying everything, as expected. And the evidence being presented now. Our infiltrators report mixed reactions. Some species appear genuinely shocked. They truly didn't know about the extinction order. Others," he hesitated, "others are preparing for war." Chen finished for him. "Activate the Lazarus Protocol." Throughout the Sol system, massive structures hidden beneath the surfaces of Mars, Venus, and several moons began to stir. What had appeared to be natural formations peeled back to reveal launch bays. From these emerged vessels, the likes of which the galaxy had never seen. Warships built with 3 centuries of uninterrupted technological development, designed specifically to counter Concordat weaponry. But the true surprise came from beyond the Kuiper Belt. There, in the cold darkness at the edge of Sol's influence, 50 enormous ships emerged from stealth mode. Each was over 10 kilometers in length, their hulls adorned with the emblem of Earth's unified military. a phoenix rising from the ashes. "The Exodus fleet has returned, Commander," announced the communications officer, awe evident in her voice. When humanity had faced extinction, they had divided their forces. Some remained hidden on Earth and throughout the Sol system. Others, the Exodus fleet, had journeyed into the unknown, establishing hidden colonies and developing technologies away from prying eyes. Now they had returned, their ships carrying the combined might of a civilization that had refused to die. In the Concordat Council chamber, the mood had shifted from shock to fear as reports came in of human military assets appearing throughout known space. "This is madness," declared Supreme Counselor Vexon. "You cannot hope to defeat the combined forces of the Concordat." General Washington remained calm. "We don't need to defeat all of you, just the ones responsible for the extinction order." He turned to face the Eurasian directly. "Your empire specifically, Counselor." Before Vexon could respond, a junior officer burst into the chamber. "Supreme Counselor, the Eurasian homeworld, it's gone." "Explain," demanded Vexon, his composure finally cracking. "Not destroyed," Washington clarified. "Relocated. The same technology that would allow us to phase Earth into another dimension can be used offensively. Your homeworld has been temporarily shifted into a pocket dimension. It will remain there, its people unharmed but completely isolated, until our terms are met." The chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives shouted accusations, threats, and pleas for reason in equal measure. Through it all, Washington stood unmoved, waiting for the storm to pass. When silence finally fell, he spoke again. 300 years ago, you gave humanity an ultimatum. Submit or be destroyed. We're not as cruel. Our terms are simple. Acknowledge our right to exist, establish diplomatic relations based on mutual respect, and bring to justice those responsible for the original extinction order. And if we refuse? Asked Counselor Jen. Washington's smile was cold. Then more worlds will disappear. Not forever. We're not genocidal. But long enough for you to reconsider. And if that fails to convince you. He gestured to the display, showing the human fleets now positioned throughout Concordat space. We've had centuries to study your weaknesses. In orbit around Earth, the flagship of the returned Exodus fleet, the Phoenix Ascendant, hovered like a sentinel. On its bridge, Admiral Helena Reyes watched the diplomatic feed from the Concordat Council with cautious optimism. "They're wavering," observed her executive officer. "The non-founder species are distancing themselves from the Eurasians and their allies." Reyes nodded. As expected, most of the Concordat truly didn't know about the extinction order. They're caught in a conflict not of their making. And the founders are discovering that their past has finally caught up with them. A communication alert chimed. "Admiral, incoming transmission from Earth Command. Commander Chen is requesting your presence for a direct negotiation with the Concordat leadership." Reyes straightened her uniform. After 50 years leading the Exodus fleet through uncharted space, establishing the hidden colonies that would ensure humanity's survival, she was about to face the civilizations that had driven them to such desperate measures. "Tell Commander Chen I'm on my way, and prepare the historical archives for transmission. It's time the galaxy learned the truth." In the council chamber, the mood had shifted again. The initial shock had given way to a tense acceptance of the new reality. Humanity wasn't extinct. They had hidden, prepared, and returned with the power to enforce their demands. General Washington stood aside as a new hologram appeared, Admiral Reyes, transmitting from the Phoenix Ascendant. "Representatives of the Galactic Concordat," she began, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had led her people through their darkest hours. "I speak to you from a vessel that has traveled beyond the boundaries of your mapped space, establishing colonies that would ensure humanity's survival regardless of today's outcome." She gestured, and the hologram expanded to show star charts of regions unknown to the Concordat, each marked with the location of a human settlement. "While you believed us destroyed, we thrived. While you forgot us, we remembered everything. And now we return, not seeking vengeance, but justice. Supreme Counselor Vexon, his earlier arrogance replaced by grim resignation, stepped forward. "What would you have us do?" "Acknowledge the truth," Rise replied simply. "Admit that the founding members of your Concordat attempted to commit genocide against a species whose only crime was potential. Release the sealed records. Let the galaxy know what was done in darkness." She paused, her expression softening slightly. "And then, perhaps, we can build something better together." The council deliberated for hours. Some argued for military response, only to be silenced by the tactical reality. Human forces were now embedded throughout Concordat space, ready to shift entire planets into dimensional exile at a moment's notice. Others advocated for immediate surrender, fearful of a species that had shown such patience and resolve. In the end, pragmatism prevailed. The Concordat would acknowledge the historical crime, release the records, and establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. The architects of the original extinction order, mostly long dead, but some still in positions of power, would face justice according to Concordat law. As the terms were finalized, Commander Chen and Admiral Rice stood together on the bridge of the Phoenix Ascendant, watching Earth rotate serenely below them. 300 years, Chen mused. 300 years of waiting, planning, preparing for this moment. Rice nodded. Was it worth it? All the sacrifices, the generations who lived and died in secret, knowing they might never see this day. Chen didn't answer immediately. Her gaze shifted to a display showing celebrations erupting across human settlements throughout the Sol system. People who had lived their entire lives underground or in sealed habitats were emerging into the sunlight, no longer hiding their existence from the stars. "Ask them," she finally said, gesturing to the scenes of joy. "We didn't just survive, Helena. We prevailed, not through superior firepower or ruthless tactics, but through patience, ingenuity, and the determination to prove them wrong." Reyes smiled. "The very qualities they feared in us. The very qualities that make us human," Chen corrected. As the sun rose over what had once been called North America, casting golden light across landscapes slowly healing from centuries of neglect, humanity's message to the stars changed. No longer was it "turn back" or "don't return." Now, as human ambassadors prepared to take their place in a galactic community that had once sought their extinction, the message was simpler, but no less powerful. We endure, we remember, and we are here to stay. Across the vast reaches of space, on worlds that had never known human contact, the story began to spread. The species that disappeared, the deception that spanned centuries, the return that changed everything. In time, it would become legend, but for now, it was simply the beginning of a new chapter in the history of a species that had faced extinction and responded not with surrender, but with the most human quality of all: defiance.